my friends, and welcome back to Three-Legged Dog Yoga. If you are new here, I am Lindsay, and I will be your guide through today's practice. Today I have for you a Hatha practice. Nothing too crazy, but there will be a little bit of fieriness to it. We will be using blocks, so if you have those, I would grab those now, and it is suitable for all levels. All right, we'll see you on the mat. Welcome everyone to today's practice. Let's begin at the back of the mat in child's pose. So hips sink over the heels, chest falls over the thighs, and the hands are outstretched in front of you. Taking a moment to move inwards to the breath, and just feeling the breath as it moves in and moves out, bringing awareness to where the breath is coming from, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And we'll start elongating the breaths and matching the inhales with the exhales. So nice long inhale and long exhale. A few more times, just like that. I'm trying to stay with this breath as we move through our practice today. So let's begin by moving our hands over to the right side, bringing a stretch into that left side of the body. Maybe bringing that left palm on top of the right hand and just sinking down here. Relaxing into the stretch for a few breaths. Eventually bringing the hands back through center and then switching sides. So reaching out to that left side, right palm maybe lands on top of that left palm, and sinking the hips down, just staying with the breath here. And then coming back through center, let's bring the hands just a little bit ahead of us and sit up into tabletop. So shoulders are over the wrists, hips are over the knees. And we'll move through some cat-cow. So on the inhale, let's drop the belly, arch the back, look up. And then exhale, round it all in. Inhale, drop the belly, arch the back, look up. Exhale to round. We'll do 3 more like this. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round on your own breath. So breathing with the movement here. And last one. And we'll meet back in tabletop when we're finished. Let's press out with the right heel, untuck the left toes, and we'll raise that left hand, reaching out with the toes and with the fingers, giving a nice strong back here. Breath is strong, breath is full. Stay here for a few more breaths. Finding a spot on the mat to focus. And then eventually drawing the knee and the hand back to the mat. We'll switch sides. So inhale, let's draw that left leg up. Reach out with the right arm. And same thing, find a nice spot to focus. Squeeze through that left glute. Reach with that right arm. Keep breathing and reaching. And then exhale, return to tabletop, neutral position. Let's pivot on that left foot. We'll draw the right foot out to the short edge of the mat. Shoulders stack over each other, rolling out to the right side, and we'll inhale that right arm up for gate pose. Option to reach that right arm over the head for a little additional stretch on that right side. Keeping the breath nice and strong, nice and big. Reach one last breath. And then with control, let's exhale and come back through center, and we'll switch it up. So let's pivot on that right foot. Left foot comes out in line with the body. Inhale, that left arm up. And again, option to reach that arm overhead. Keep pressing through that right hand, really finding that lift on the left side of the body. And then on our exhale, let's slowly bring that left hand back to the mat. Roll the hips over, come back to the tabletop, tuck the toes, and we'll send the hips up nice and high for downward facing dog. Let's pedal out the feet a few times, finding any movement that you need. And eventually finding some stillness. Keeping a nice generous bend in those knees. And then we'll bring the gaze to the top of the mat. Inhale, lift. Step up, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And then exhale, hands come to heart center. So let's grab our blocks and put them at either side of the top of the mat. Just have them close by in case we need them. So we'll take a big step back with the right foot, coming into our warrior one, Virabhadrasana 1. Arms stay up overhead, shoulders are rolled back, core is lifted, and we're pressing through both of those feet. Nice big deep breaths. And then let's pivot on the ball of that back foot. Draw that right knee down to the floor, coming down to low lunge, Anjaneyasana. If it hurts the back knee, let's untuck those back toes. And we'll stay here, keeping that core engaged so we're not sinking too low into the hips. And then let's bring our hands down, frame the foot. We'll step that right foot up. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And inhale, come all the way up, hands through heart center, switching sides. Take a big step back with that left foot. Hips face forward, bend through that right knee. Inhale, raise the arms up nice and high. And then we'll just sink in just a little bit, making sure those hips are staying forward. Shoulders are rolled back and down, away from the ears, and our fingertips are reaching towards the ceiling. On your next inhale, let's lift up just a little bit, spin on the ball of that back foot, come down to the knee and untuck the toes. And we'll stay down here, Anjaneyasana, once again on the opposite side. Taking a peek at that front toe, making sure you can see the front big toe so our knee isn't splaying over to the side. Sitting up nice and tall, that core is still engaged. And then on your next exhale, let's plant the hands, frame the foot, and step it up. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Let's take a big step back with that right foot once again, this time coming into our warrior 2 feet. So the front heel is in line with the arch of the back foot. Shoulders are rolled up and back, crown of the head stays lifted. Keeping those arms reaching towards opposite edges of the mat. And focusing that drishti point on the middle finger, just right over that front middle finger. Finding a spot to focus on the wall. Inhale, let's straighten that front leg. You might need to heel toe the back foot in just a little bit. And let's reach for one of our blocks with the left hand. And we'll place it just inside that left foot. Sending the hips back and hinging at the hips for triangle pose here. So shoulders stay nice and stacked. That chest is open nice and wide. And breathing, keeping a micro bend in that front knee. We're not hyperextending anything. And then we'll bring the gaze down to the mat. Let's just move that block out of the way. Take a step up. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Switching sides. Take a big step back with that left foot. Bend in through the right knee. Inhale, draw those arms out nice and wide. Roll the shoulders back. And bring that gaze over the front right finger this time. Pressing through the back knife edge of the foot. Keeping the shoulders drawn back, crown of the head stays lifted. And squeezing with those inner thighs to give you that just a little bit of extra lift. Inhale, let's straighten that front leg, send the hips back, reach for our block once again. Stack the shoulders, open the chest for a triangle on the opposite side. Trying to keep the body in one line here, as though you were in between two panes of glass. Keeping that breath nice and full. Big inhale. And then exhale, let's move the block aside. Step up with that left foot. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, hands through heart center. All right, adding on. Let's take a big step back with that right foot. Warrior one. Arms come up overhead, sinking through that front hip. Nice big deep breaths here. Inhale, reach up with those hands, spin on the ball of that back foot. Drop the knee, untuck the toes, and sink into the hips. Trying to keep that front knee tracking over the front ankle. Chest stays lifted, fingertips are reaching towards the ceiling. And then let's drop that right hand to the inside of that left foot. Wait for the inhale, and we'll twist it open to the left side. So left hand comes up to open the chest for easy twist. Nice big deep breath here. And then as we exhale, let's bring the gaze to the floor. We'll frame the foot, but this time we'll step it back. We'll come down through vinyasa. So knees, chest, chin, and then inhale to cobra. Exhale, send those hips back to downward facing dog. Gaze between the hands, step up, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, hands through heart center. Let's switch sides. Take a big step back with that left foot. Wait for the inhale. Raise the arms, coming into your warrior one. Checking in with that right knee, making sure we're still tracking over that ankle. Crown of the head stays lifted. And then on your next inhale, let's pivot on that back foot. Drop the knee, untuck the toes, and sink into the hips for a low lunge. Reaching with those hands, let's drop that left hand down to the inner right side of the foot. And on the inhale, let's twist that right hand up towards the sky. Trying to keep the shoulders stacked on top of one another, and gazing up towards that hand. On your next exhale, let's frame the foot, step it back, and come down through the vinyasa of your choice. So either knees, chest, chin, or coming down through chaturanga and cobra or upward facing dog. Eventually meeting back in downward facing dog, and then inhaling to the top of our mats, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead, and exhale, hands through heart center. All right, let's keep it going. Let's take a big step back with that right foot. Warrior two stance. Inhale those arms out nice and wide. Reach out to the short ends of the mat with the fingertips. Nice big deep breaths. And then we'll inhale, straighten that front leg, reach forward with the hands, grab that block if you need to. And then rotating the body open nice and wide for our triangle. Right hand sends up to the sky. Pressing through that left hand, really reaching with that right. And let's slowly bend through that front knee. You might need to play with the height of the block here. And then wait for your next inhale. Let's reach that arm up for extended side angle. Option to reach that right arm overhead if that's in your practice. Wherever you are, staying nice and strong here through the legs. Let's exhale. We'll frame the foot, step it back, come down through your vinyasa. Meeting in downward facing dog. On the inhale, let's gaze between the hands, step up, halfway lift, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms come up nice and high. And exhale, hands through heart center. And let's take a big step back with the left foot this time. Inhale those arms out nice and wide. And then exhale, sink down through the hips, keeping those shoulders rolled back. Keeping that torso nice and tall. And then we'll inhale, straighten that front leg, reach for that block, send the hips back, and then open the chest for a triangle. Left hand comes up nice and high. Pressing through those feet, keeping this posture nice and dynamic. Core stays strong. And then as we exhale, let's bend through that right knee, maybe sinking down a little bit with the block, and potentially adding on, reaching that left arm overhead for extended side angle. Take a big deep breath in here. And then exhale, let's frame the foot, step it back, coming down through your vinyasa, upward dog or cobra, and then exhale, downward facing dog. Gaze comes between the hands. Take a step up. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. And exhale, hands come to heart center. Great, so moving on, let's keep our blocks nice and close by. We'll take a big step back, this time with the left foot, coming into our high lunge. So come up onto the ball of that left foot. Inhale, arms come up nice and high. And then slowly sink into those hips. We'll stay here for one nice deep breath. And then as we exhale, let's lean forward, grab those blocks. You might need to shift that front foot back again. And we'll inhale, raise that back leg. Try to keep the hips square. And then let's slowly roll that left hip open up to the ceiling. Coming into our half moon. Just playing with your balance here. And maybe adding on by reaching that left arm up to the sky. Finding a spot to gaze, keeping that focus. Big inhale. And then exhale with control. Let's slowly step that left foot back down. Bring the block with you as you sink through the hips down to Skandasana. Inhale, open those arms nice and wide. Right shoulder rolls up to the sky. And then exhale, let's plant the hands. Come into a wide leg forward fold, so the feet are parallel with the short edge of the mat. Inhale to look up, and exhale to fold. Staying here for a few breaths. Keeping those knees as bent as you need to, making sure there's no pain. And then we'll inhale, bring the hands to the hips, gaze to the top of our mat, and keeping the hands on the hips, we'll step up. All right, second side. Let's take a big step back with that right foot. Pivot onto the ball of the foot, coming into our high lunge. Inhale, arms come up overhead. Exhale, sink down through the hips. Let's take a moment, find where those blocks are. Exhale, reach for them, maybe drawing that left foot back just a little bit. Inhale to reach that right foot nice and high, trying to keep the hips square. And then we'll press through that left hand. Inhale, roll that right arm up and open towards the sky, coming into the full expression. Trying to keep the shoulders stacked, finding a nice soft spot to gaze. Playing with your balance here, not worrying if you fall out of it. And then on your next exhale, with control, let's take that right foot back. Bring the block with you, sink through the hips, coming into our Skandasana on the opposite side. Inhale, open up nice and wide with that left arm. And then as we exhale, let's draw the hands down to the mat. Draw the hips towards the ceiling, coming into a wide leg forward fold. Taking an inhale, Halfway lift, exhale to fold, and we'll crawl the hands over to that right leg, reaching for that right shin, and drawing the body over that right leg. And then inhale, switch sides, coming over to that left side, keeping a generous bend in the knees, trying to keep the hips square. Then on your next inhale, let's reach forward with the hands, pivot on the feet, step it back, and we'll come down for our vinyasa. So either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, cobra or up dog on the inhale, and exhale back to downward facing dog. Take a step up, inhale, halfway lift, exhale, fold. Inhale, arms come up overhead, and exhale, hands through heart center. Let's reach for our block. We'll come to the top of the mat. Grabbing one block, we'll hold it lengthways in our hands. Reach the arms out ahead, heel toe the feet so the toes are pointed out to the outer edge of the mat. Feet are just a little bit wider than hips distance. And then we'll slowly start sinking through the hips, eventually placing that block underneath the sit bones and sitting up nice and tall in a Malasana Yogi squat. Take a big breath in, and then place that right hand on the floor, just beside that right foot. Inhale, open the arms up nice and high. So left arm comes up nice and high. Gaze can either stay in the middle or up towards that left hand, whichever is more comfortable for the neck. Bringing a nice stretch into that whole side body. And then we'll exhale, switch it up. Left hand comes to the floor, wait for your inhale, and we'll open the arm up to the right side this time. Keeping that chest lifted. And then gaze back to the floor. Exhale, let's move that block out of the way, and we'll just shift the hips back down on the mat. We'll tuck that left foot in, sole of the foot against the right inner thigh. Inhale, roll the shoulders up, and then exhale without pulling our bodies forward. Let's just lean forward. So we're really using the strength of our leg to pull us forward here. Reaching forward with that chest for Janu Shashasana on the right side. One last breath here. And then as we exhale, let's open that left knee to the side. We'll place the right hand down on the mat just in front of the right shin. And then on the inhale, raise that left arm up towards the sky, coming into a nice twist, opening up that whole front body. And then exhale, plant that left hand behind the left hip. Inhale, let's draw that right arm overhead, chest comes up. And then exhale, bring the feet back down. Sitting up nice and tall, let's switch sides. So right sole of the foot comes into the left thigh. Inhale, roll the shoulders up and back. And then exhale, fold. Reaching forward with the chest, keeping the breath bright and full. Left foot stays flexed, toes are drawn up towards the shin. Big inhale. Exhale. Inhale, let's bring the torso back up to neutral. Open that right knee out to the side. Left hand comes to the inner shin. Inhale that right arm up. Extend the chest out. Gaze comes up towards the top fingers. Inhale. Exhale, let's plant that right hand beside the right hip. Inhale, arch the back. Bring that left arm overhead for a modified wild thing. And then exhale, come back down, extending the legs in front of you. Take a moment in Dandasana to set up. Take a big inhale, and then exhale, reach with the chest, coming into our forward fold. Bending into the knees as much as we need. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. Exhale, let's shift the hips down on the mat and come down to our backs. Feet are hips distance apart. Let's walk the heels back so we can touch our heels. Inhale, we're going to send the hips up to the sky as we roll onto the shoulder blades coming off that back of the neck. Hands can interlace behind the back or stay at your side, coming into your version of bridge. Keeping the breath full, pressing that chest up towards the sky. And as we exhale, let's sink the hips down, coming back to neutral. Inhale, draw that right leg up and cross it over the left. Option to stay here, or if you'd like to add on, let's draw the left leg up towards the chest, either grabbing behind the thigh or the shin, whatever feels comfortable. Trying to keep the back, the sacrum, down, glued to the mat. Maybe pressing away with that right knee. And on your next exhale, let's drop the feet back down to the floor. Switch sides. So left foot comes over right knee, staying there, or inhale to draw that right knee up towards the chest. Either grabbing behind the thigh or in front of the shin. And again, trying to keep that sacrum glued down to the floor. So we're pressing down with the lower back here as we pull away with the leg. Exhale, draw those feet down to the mat. We'll shuffle the hips over to the left side and then draw the knees over to the right, coming into a twist. So the idea here is to try and get the knees to stack, but today we're not going to worry about that too much. Let's just find what feels good in the body today and reach over to the right side with our knees. Keep that left shoulder pressing down to the mat. Inhale, come back through center. Switch sides. Shift the hips over to the right side and just draw those knees over to the left wherever they fall. Again, keeping that right shoulder glued to the mat. Right hip and left shoulder are pulling away from one another. Inhale, come back through center. Bring the hips back to neutral. And then exhale, let's draw the body down. Relaxing into our Shavasana here. Finding any last movements that your body might crave. And then just sinking down into the mat. Releasing any controlled breathing. Just coming to a natural state of breath. And just sitting here in silence for a few moments. Slowly starting to bring some movement back, wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes. Gently make those movements a little bit bigger. And then eventually finding your way up to seated, taking as much time as you need. And once we're seated, finding a nice comfortable position, however that may look for you. Sitting up nice and tall, hands come to the thighs. And let's close our practice today with one big sigh. So exhale all the air out. Big inhale. Exhale, sigh it all out. That is all for our practice today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the mat.